Before I start this video, I just gotta say that Jesus is so cool, man. Jesus is so cool. I've seen his hand working in my life so much recently, and it truly is just a blessing to be able to do what I do on a day-to-day basis. And so I just gotta give glory to him for a moment. And now, with the video that I want to discuss for today is how your silence and your silent indifference taught some of these people out here way more than your care ever could. Now, this is not to say that you shouldn't treat people with compassion and you shouldn't love people. I love people, but I don't trust them. That's just my mentality. That's just who I am. And it's gotten me further in life than loving people and trusting too many people, because I was very naive growing up. I was very naive, and I was a people pleaser for most of my childhood up until my early adult years, because my nervous system was designed to attack itself by my environment. The more that I stood up for myself, the more that I asserted myself, the more I was punished. And so I learned that, well, a lack of self-respect and dignity is going to keep me safe. That was my thought algorithm, even though I didn't even know that's what it was programmed in me. Because a lot of this stuff, it's not you, it's not who you are that's the problem always. It's the way that you're programmed. And so in my one-on-one mentorships, for example, I'll see a lot of people, they know what's true. They know what to say. They just don't know how to say it to the right people. And so they come to me, they're like, this is what I'm feeling, this is what I'm going through, this is the situation. And I said, well, what would you say to them if you wanted to say something? And then they say it, and I said, well, then why don't you say that? Oh, I don't know. And I understand what this is like, because your nervous system has been designed to feel fear from the same people that are supposed to care about you. Okay? So what do we do about this? Well, you have to retrain your mind and reprogram your mind. You have to reorganize your thought algorithms. And the best thing to do that is to start asserting yourself in situations. This doesn't need to happen in a form of dominance or anything like that. You just need to be true and authentic and honest with who you are and what you want from the situation. And being honest and just direct, straightforward, a straight shooter, that's gotten me so much further in life than any kind of people pleasing or anything like that, because so many people in our society are designed to people please. And sometimes the only thing that you can do is walk away silently and indifferently from these people. You can try to care for these people. You can try to be the person that shows them the light. And you might be that person, actually. You might be showing them the light right now. However, a lot of people don't want to see the light. They don't want to acknowledge it. They would rather live in their darkness. So when you start to become a better person, your light is going to automatically illuminate their darkness. Do you understand what I'm saying? So your light is going to illuminate their darkness. And what's going to end up happening is one of two things. Number one is they gaslight you and lash back out at you, or you can walk away from the situation with a silent indifference. This is often the mechanism in which people are going to be able to learn a little bit more keenly about what kind of man or woman you are. You're not somebody to just play around with. You're not somebody to just be a part of the system of whatever God knows what this is. And I'm not encouraging you to necessarily stay alone or be a lone wolf, because I do understand the attractiveness quality as a godly person to the lone wolf mentality. But I think that because I myself have been considering myself a lone wolf off and on throughout the last few years, but nowadays I don't want to be a lone wolf. I just want a small, like, pride of lions. Like, I don't need a bunch of hyenas around me. I don't need a bunch of, like, penguins or squares or sheep. I don't need that in my life. What I need is a pride of lions. And, you know, that's one of the reasons why we have the Regal Change Academy, is because that's a group and an online academy in school for people that want to have that pride of lions. Okay? They want to have that accountability. They want to have that ferociousness. They want to have that proclivity toward moving towards something better. Because a lot of people don't want that. A lot of people don't know how to handle they don't have the fortitude, really. And it's not like because of their own lack of understanding or lack of capability or capacity. It's that they simply don't know what they don't know, and they're in the trenches of spiritual warfare thinking that they're not in the trenches of spiritual warfare. Okay, that's one thing that I would say is very, very important for you to understand, is that you are in the trenches of spiritual warfare every single day. As long as we have a body, you're going to be in spiritual warfare, unless you're around that pride of lions that are godly people, so to speak, right? Like, so when I say lions, okay, well, the Lion of Judah, that's Jesus Christ. And the Lion of Judah represents a lot, but remember, Jesus says that he's the Alpha and the Omega. So he's the first and the last. It doesn't really get more concrete than that. So God being the first and the last means that everything else happens in between, and he's also everything and everywhere in between, right? And so sometimes, have you noticed that the best way to get closer to God is through silence? The best way to get closer to God, and when I hear God's voice or the Holy Spirit is moving through me the most, I usually am in silence. And I'm not always meditating when it happens. I'm just in silence, whether I'm cooking food, I'm making dinner, I'm doing certain things, or I'm just playing music, and I just kind of have like this feeling that I don't know how to describe or put into words, so I just start to play the guitar. Because whenever I have any kind of emotions that I don't quite understand, and any kind of emotions that I'm having trouble articulating to myself, that's when I have to get like the guitar or some kind of painting or drawing out, because it really allows me to express what's going on inside of me a little bit easier. It's more like a modality. You know, it's a modality in which people are going to use certain tools or frameworks of mind to enhance their spirituality. But I think one thing that many people don't understand about silence is that it's not just a tool, but it can be a weapon against narcissists. It can be a weapon against people that would prefer to see you lose your mind and lose your marbles and get nowhere in life. Do you understand what it's like to be around people? Like, maybe you do, maybe you don't. I don't know where you're at on your journey, but to be around people that genuinely want what's best for you. They genuinely want to see you succeed. If you've never been around that, like, I'm basically describing what salt or sugar tastes like to somebody that's never tasted salt or sugar. I don't know how to do that. It's like, you guys have heard the classic, it's like trying to describe color to a blind person. It's kind of difficult to do because it's just so what it is. Like you can't really describe the color without being capable of experiencing it. And so if you're not capable of experiencing something like this, if you haven't had the opportunity to experience something like this, then what I'm going to say right now is it might go over your head. But anybody that knows what I'm talking about knows and understands that to be on like a team, whether it's with your relationship, like your significant other, or it's in business, or whether it's with people or family, it doesn't matter who it is. If you guys are all aligned and you guys are all ready to go, you all have the same kinds of goals, you have the same kind of aspirations, you want to see each other succeed, you want to support each other, you want to be there for each other. Do you know the true power of that? And you might have experienced this, and you might not have experienced the full extent. But I will say this. You kind of get this collective consciousness going. Because this is something that I've noticed with the Regal Change Academy, for example, is like, it's a community. Like, it literally is it's a neural network inside of a network. Because we're basically virtual, right? Everybody around the world, like we've got people, well, not everybody, but we've got a lot of people around the world. Everybody in the group is from around the world. We have people from like 10 or 15 different countries in the community. And what I've noticed, maybe even more than that now, but what I've noticed is that we've become this collective organism and collective consciousness in the best possible way. There's no need for silent indifference with one another. Everybody can team up and support each other or hold each other accountable, tell people what they're doing wrong, what they're doing right, encourage, motivate, etc. I don't really believe in motivation, but you get the point. I prefer the term inspiration. I don't believe in motivation because motivation is always like fleeting. It's inspiration. You get this, feeling of being in spirit, right? Inspiration, in spirit. So I prefer the term inspiration for that reason. Motivation, there's a motive to enhance your desire. Whereas inspiration, you're just operating in spirit. Anyway, you get the point. So what I see is that many people don't know how to harness the weapon of silence. But if you can be silent, like silence is your greatest weapon, but it's also your greatest strength because God is speaking to you the most in silence. Like, for example, with me, the first time that I ever heard God say anything to me, because some people say, oh, you can't hear God's voice. Some Christians don't believe that. And when I first started to follow Christ, I really wanted to hear his voice. I really wanted to. I wanted to experience what God's voice inside me felt like, but I wasn't even sure if it was possible. So I didn't really know. I kept praying for it for months. I kept praying and praying, and I was just, I don't know how to go or where to go from this. And then finally, one day, I hear something inside me. It's a benevolent, stern, but almost like kind of like a kind but stern grandpa voice. And he says, do you trust the process now? Oh boy, that was crazy. That was nuts. I was like, oh my gosh. And so now I don't hear God all the time, like voice-wise. I'm with God as much as I can be, but I'm not trying to like hear him. I just listen. Because when you're with God and you're operating in spirit, you're on the narrow path. You don't need to try to listen to God. You just are or you're not. You either hear him or you don't. You feel him or you don't. And there are going to be certain things and certain motives that help you realize certain things. There are going to be maybe synchronicities, for example. We did a class in the Regal Change Academy on Sunday this last week on synchronicities. And that was a fun one. And ever since we talked about it, because language is the curator of reality. Like language in of itself can be a form of creation. Ever since then, I've seen so many more synchronicities. Like, that's one of the reasons why I'm just saying, like, God's voice, God's spirit is just radiating through me. I can feel the light of the splendor of God just emanating through me. And it feels just so amazing to be a part of godliness and being with God. It's just, when you know you're chosen for something, like, when you know that God chose you, there's no feeling like that. But you got to be able to experience stuff in silence, though. Can you be with yourself in silence? Can you be calm and at ease with existence in the silence that you have? That's something to think about. But hey, it's a beautiful day. I've really been enjoying the sun. Getting that tan a little bit back and just feeling good. I've been mixing up a little bit of my lifestyle plan on how I'm eating recently. So I'm eating a little bit less, but I'm working out and I'm doing cardio and all that stuff, all that I would be doing normally. And it's crazy how just, a few hundred extra calories less that you're intaking a day, it can make you fairly irritable, but also very calm. Like, I've been fasting here and now, or here and oh my goodness, now and then. I was going to say here and then I was going to say here and now, but you guys get the point. I've been fasting now and then recently, and I haven't been talking about it much, because usually when we do like a Regal Change Academy fast, we'll get the whole group involved. But I've been doing some personal fasting recently, and it's amazing how just, giving yourself over to God and letting God guide you, whether it's through how to treat people or how to treat yourself. There's just nothing like it. When you really see God's hand moving, man, it's just a blessing, man. But I hope everybody got something from this video. I'm glad that this was productive. I think this was pretty productive as far as a YouTube video goes. I never know what the what the views are going to be like. That's one thing that's very interesting recently. It's like, I had one video that I didn't know if it was too good or not, and that was like one of my best performing videos that I've had recently. So, I'll just keep going and keep showing up, because that's all we can do, right? We can just keep showing up for ourselves, and if other people aren't going to be able to show up for us, then we just give them that silent indifference. They're going to learn more about it and about themselves from that than we ever could try to just, try to shake them and wake them up. But I hope everybody has a blessed rest of your day, and peace be with you all. Until next time.